clap number 2. Just kidding. You guys don't know what we're talking about. Welcome to Held Captive Media. My name is Logan. You may know me as the guy that didn't have anything for this specific intro to say. I don't know. Zane, my buddy right here, is going to be coming along for this ride, and my sweet, lovely woman, Franny's right here, too.
Hello.
Why don't you call me sweet and lovely?
I have, just not on camera. Damn. I don't want there to be, like, if this builds any sort of, like, popularity, I don't want it to be a thing where people, like, ship us. I don't want to see fan art. Because it might make me question things. It might make me question my position in life. Anyway, guys, today we're reviewing Searching. So Searching is directed by Aneesh Chaganty. This was clearly his first big feature, and he's received a lot of critical praise since then with his Sarah Paulson-led thriller Run. Chaganty's style of filmmaking, which, by the way, is heavily inspired by filmmakers he loves, like M. Night Shyamalan or Hitchcock, direction has been described as inspired yet original. Searching is told through the perspective of laptop webcams, news footage, all sorts of weird ways you can put a camera on somebody without it being a conventional camera. And John Cho's character is on a quest to find what has happened to his daughter. And the film addresses new modern landscapes of communication that young people have access to, while adults really, they don't understand it. They don't understand how any of this FaceTime stuff works, any of this space book. And that's basically what the film's tackling, and how that can seriously mean that you know nothing about your own children. So guys, Searching is really freaking good. It's so good. It's really good. It's actually, like, it's incredibly well directed. I remember when I was on the thumb on it, like, before a lot of people, I was sitting here screaming, it's not Unfriended. It's not Unfriended. I swear to God. And it's really not. This movie lets you know right off the top that it's going to have a score. It's going to use the footage that it's getting not as found footage, but as an artistic way to show things happening on screen. It never feels like a gimmick. It more feels like a creative twist on a way to tell a conventional, mystery thriller, while also the writing making it so original on its own. It's brilliant. I mean, it's so much fun to watch. Zane, what did you think of it? This was your first time watching it. It was Lacey's second time watching it, and it drove her insane. So that was also an interesting definitely element of the film.
A lot of the film was hearing like, can we... Zane, leave the room.
Yeah, we had to keep because I had seen it before, so Lacey's like, I'm gonna die if I don't actually know how this movie goes, like, because I think I've seen it. Zane, you must leave the room now so we can discuss things.
I got kicked out.
And then after we discussed it once, we still needed to discuss it one more time, and that was the moment I realized that watching movies with Lacey is my favorite experience. Just having to kick Zane out of the room was so fucking funny.
That's hilarious. I wasn't there for this.
Two times while this like movie, like all this hype is building up and everything, and I just like, is that Zane? You're gonna need to leave the room. And I'm like, okay, I guess. Like, that's just something that's happening.
And then when he wasn't out of the room, she was just sitting there the whole time like, oh my fucking God, is that what I think it is? And I've so been there. I've so been there with a movie where I'm like, I've fucking seen this before. It's driving me insane.
She looked at Logan and she's like, and I'm like, do not make me leave the room. And she's like, I'm going to write it down in my little notebook, because she was taking production notes.
But anyway, just a fun little story. Sorry to derail things. No. What did you think about the movie? I'm sorry.
So I thought it was a very interesting take on, it's not so much a story that's been told before, but it is kind of one of those, like, it's like a story that you would think of when you think of kind of like a whodunit almost sort of story, but done in a very interesting way. I think visually at times it was nostalgic in some ways and kind of like visually exciting in other ways, while also being this kind of like very like it's the same backdrop almost the whole time, which could almost get overplayed.
So there's something really interesting about the movie, and I think you were kind of getting at it. Mm-hmm. And it's that they went and they made sure to make things chronicalized like correctly by buying the appropriate software for certain computers that they were using to tell the story. I mean, if you think about it, they had the old school Microsoft computer screen start out with, and then they went to Microsoft. They paid for Apple to use the correct licenses. They paid Microsoft. They paid Facebook. They paid fucking Tumblr to be in their movie because they wanted to be so authentic
So not a real spoiler, but I loved when the Norton you haven't been on.
The Norton web browser moment? Yes, absolutely.
So many fun. Days. I was just
so relatable.
And it's so much better because I feel like a lot of movies and TV shows like use like search engine, like make fake names.
Franny, what did you think about the movie though?
I've watched it a while ago. I didn't rewatch for the pod because I've seen this movie multiple times because it's that fucking good that I've already seen it multiple times.
I love it. I really do. It's a great one.
It's great so different. I love found footage like movies, and I feel like this is like such a different way of doing that. That's fresh and fun and
I know we use this word too much on here, but elevated. Right?
Elevated, fucking elevated.
You can't ignore the fact that this is just done better than those other movies.
It is.
It's not a gimmick. It services the story.
Yeah, for sure. It really does. And it's so like we already said though, relatable too. Like it feels like you're on this journey, this like quest with him, like looking through this web browser. And like in our generation too, we all are little like detectives on our phones. Like
Definitely.
We can find some shit pretty fast. And it's just cool like watching this old man struggle through the internet.
Yeah, I mean and it's relatable too, you know, because like everything that he's having weird interactions with, I'm at like a middle point in age between these two things. Like, I definitely understand a Facebook, but I really didn't get behind Tumblr. And when all these fucking weebs came out with me like, Misha Collins, let me tell you about Tumblr. I'm like, I don't know shit about what you're talking about at all. This is really scary. Why is there so much Misha Collins in porn here?
And that's
I was on
Jensen Ackles'
Tumblr.
trailer.
Yeah,
I was on Tumblr.
I remember talking with you in high school. Talking about
Tumblr,
your Tumblr.
Yeah.
Because it was absolutely exactly that. And I feel like especially
that was exactly that
us, kid. Like we're kind of right in between that, like too old to get some of the stuff, but also young enough to
understand how goofy John Cho is just tripping and talking about the voice. But we're not going to get into any specific things. There's one other thing I wanted to say too, and it has to go with what the filmmaking was before we get into spoilers and the ratings, of course. He had a great moment in the film where you're seeing trending topics because he's on a certain social media website, and he tagged M. Night in it. And at that moment, he was letting the people know that not only he was wildly influenced by M. Night, but that this movie was going to be filled with twists and turns.
Yeah.
So for me, this is a good one. I mean, this is a really good one. I'm going to give this one an 8.5. And I feel like I've been giving those out a little liberally lately, but it's a score system for me. It's not quite a 10 because it's not like a movie that I think I can show to anyone. I think that there's a certain level of this storytelling having like a breach where people just won't ever cross it. They're like, I'm never going to watch a found footage film that's set up like it's on the internet. There's people who just won't engage. And for that reason, I think that knocks it a point because it's just not accessible for everybody, but it's incredible. So I think I give Searching 8.5. So what about you, buddy?
I would probably go ahead. I really enjoyed it. I will say I'm going to go ahead and give it a solid 7.5.
I totally get where you're coming from. That's almost what I almost went to like an 8, 7.5, but there's certain things about it that I just geek out about too much.
I was over here. I was between 7.5. I'm going to go ahead and go with 7.5 because I did really like it. It is very innovative in the way that it's done. I feel like at times the story is a little too on the nose with certain things. That's again, I still very much liked it. But there are times where I'm like, okay, that's a bit of a stretch, like realism-wise. And then other times where I'm like, okay, yes, this is how you're telling this story, but also, like, they do a great job of making the visuals very entertaining. But at the same time, it can at points feel a little flat where it's just like, okay, and then we're going through another search bar and then we're in an Excel tab and we're like yes, this is kind of neat to see, but you kind of miss that like direct character to character interaction. And it is something that like, cause there's only like, I'd say maybe 5 like on screen actors.
There's not a lot of.
Well, let's not get too into that because that
and
could.
I didn't want to.
Fran, your number.
It's a 9.
Hell yeah!
This movie's way up
Fuck
there.
Yeah! Hit the applause button, Zane. Thank you.
It's like everything I love in a movie. I love like the teenage drama of it. I like the dad on like like Tumblr and stuff. I just think it's funny at times. It's really serious and really like it's like steeped in realism too, I think, which is funny because that's like kind of the opposite of what Zane said. But I think this is really like realistic, and I feel like it could happen anywhere to anybody, and that's what I really like about it. It's visceral.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's one of the nice parts about this setup is we all are going to have different takes. Every piece of media.
Zane's PSA.
Yeah, every piece of media.
Don't be mad at me because Franny liked it more than me, please.
No, and I'm saying that
anyway,
just because I found
he means well. We know he loves everybody. Anyway, let's move on to the spoiler section. What do you say, guys?
Sounds good.
Sure.
We'll be right back to talk about Searching. And we're back, guys. Nobody's clapping. We're here. You'll never know what that... Well, Franny, what'd I just say? No, I'm kidding.
You can't even hear it. I'm sure you can't even hear it.
I don't know.
I did like nothing.
What if you're not even really clapping?
Just for the YouTube audience.
She's just adding it in with like CG and post. We're not really doing this. Anyway, guys, Searching, Franny.
Yes.
You were talking right on the break that you were super hyped to talk about this movie. What's a scene that like really stuck with you from this film that like you think about now, even though you haven't seen it in a minute?
I don't remember a ton of specifics from it, but the moment when the dad confronts his brother
is
and
so
you can see it like.
good.
Are you watching it like through a computer screen?
It's webcams that he set up, like security cams all over the house.
That is my favorite fucking part.
Yeah, it's
that
a
is
great
so
scene.
Good.
So on that point, I think I was talking with him when I watched it about, I was like, the fact that he had labeled it proof, like he was going to expose his brother, the whole time, as soon as that like switch flipped, I was like, no, this is going to be proof that he fucking murders his brother. And that's going to be, I was like, is that how it's going to play out? And then it totally didn't, which was like perfectly fine.
And the uncle was just smoking weed with her.
No, I was just like, I watched him type in proof. And I'm like, that can only end badly.
You thought the movie was about to end. You know why? Because he wrote this film so well that the twists and turns in it can come so suddenly. I mean, there's so many points where you're like, yep, that's it. His daughter's dead. And like, LOL, she's not dead.
Ooh, and it's so good on a second watch too.
It's really good,
especially with like the lawyer lady.
What you mean with the police officer?
The police officer, yes.
She's insane.
Yeah,
her whole character, and then like when she joins in and she's like, just go ahead and tell me everything that happened. He's like, I already talked to somebody. That's such a cool illustration of like she's coming here on her own accord, because if she actually was looped in on the investigation, she wouldn't have to. Right. So at that time, she wasn't anything. She was cold calling and then begged to be a part of the investigation based on what he knew. That's crazy. Mm-hmm. That's great storytelling. You definitely did not see that coming. And all this stuff with the son, she had told this endearing story about her son, so when he showed up on screen, you weren't obsessed with the fact that he was there. Yeah. It didn't feel like they were throwing in your face. But now it makes sense. But then
she also, in that same story, said, I'll do whatever it takes to protect my son.
And also, when he comes in the room and she's like, I'll handle this, go. You know the truth, that he's the reason why he's freaked out. Worried. He's worried that he's about to get fucking caught. When he runs out of the room, go back to bed. I'm gonna blah 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 blah. He's coming out freaked out because she's waking up at 3 a.m. screaming right after he murdered somebody. Mm-hmm. It's great filmmaking. Mm-hmm. What did you think of like him going through her friends list on Facebook and just cold calling everyone? Dude, I used to work at Family Video, right?
Yeah.
I used to work at Family Video, and it's horrible to work at a video rental place in the late 2010s. Nobody wants to be there, and nobody wants to rent anything, and that's the facts. And I had to make a lot of cold calls of people who like hadn't returned their movies in like 10 years, and you just have to keep calling them and calling them and calling them. And I have to imagine that it would still be less painful to call all of my daughter's not friends during her murder than it would be to make those Family Video calls. That's my statement on that.
I still remember you telling me like, "Hey, dude, I got a job at Family Video."
I was the manager, of a video store.
Is this the start of Scream? I'm like, what the fuck is happening? I'm like, did we get transported back to the 90s? Like, I don't understand. But it is also like the perfect job for you.
Yeah, if it was still a thing, it would still be my job.
Right.
Unfortunately. But what did you think about that whole sequence of like running through the teenagers?
Hilarious. Something my dad would have done. Like,
Yeah,
it's
like,
just like dad energy.
It's like this humor that's given in like this genuine way where you're
Right.
not like, okay, it's like it's not being
it's just like
forced in.
Clueless.
Yeah.
Like they don't.
It's
Don't get it.
more so like the situation is humorous, even though like what's happening is like, his
Right.
daughter is missing. Like it is.
I wish we would
yeah.
have saw the Biebs concert, to be honest with you. I
Dude,
wanted to
the
see a
fucking-
scene of that kid who got beat the fuck up at that Biebs concert.
I love the like Justin Bieber concert brackets confirmed. When it's like, oh, this is the kid that fucking did it, and then he like confirmed, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I want to know how he confirmed it. Like, how did he?
Right.
Like, was it like he sent him videos of him at the
of
Justin
him at
Bieber?
that's
I'm
what I
like,
wanted to
would-
see.
Yeah, I would love to just like, even if it was just like a file as he's like
Dude,
closing
they
stuff
should
away.
have put
just
that in like
have-
the end credits.
Oh, that would have been so fucking good.
That
Just
would have been really
douchey
good.
Kid.
Yeah, everybody hates him
Yeah.
anyway, and I'm really excited when John Cho beats the shit out of that child. But it's a little aggressive. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
What did you think? Because we're already talking about like the teenagers and stuff. What did you think about then the adverse reaction of like all of them pretending that they were super close friends with her?
It's so accurate.
It's very real.
So what it instantly reminded me of was
No specific names if we're talking about people we know, because that's definitely happened with people we know.
It's when all of the drama came out with the was it the Amanda Todd suicide?
Oh, yeah.
And then it was like she had posted the video or whatever where she was holding up the cards, and then she drank bleach and like
I
killed
remember
herself.
that.
And then everybody from her school ended up posting shit where it was either like, oh, she was actually an awful person, or oh, we used to be best friends,
Right.
and blah 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 blah. Which like not my place to talk about like this young girl's life. Like that's something, but
Definitely
just
not.
watching like the getting to see that real time as like a kid in high school, like watching kids actually do that from afar, and then the fact that they like implemented that into that, I was like, that is exactly how it works in this like age of social media. And like watching the one girl's like feed go like up and up and up because she's like, oh yeah, after you had just watched her be like, nobody.
I
fucking
didn't.
talked
Yeah,
to
I
that
don't even
girl.
know that. She was in my study group because I want to get into Berkeley. Like
Yeah.
that was her whole thing. No, and another thing that was like super ridiculous with the movie, and this is something that I think demerits it a little bit, and why it's an 8.5 versus something else. Is okay. So she fakes this confession from this person that she helped with, like, you know, Beyond Wings or whatever, this organization or some shit. And she gets him to confess to the crime, and then she murders him. What drug did she give him? That shit that Dexter knocks people out with? Who would confess to that under any circumstances?
Yeah.
There's no, like, how high would you have to be?
And that's like, at that point, you would have to be so totally incoherent.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to give a
Yeah.
fake, even if he was reading it, he wouldn't be able to do it. That's why I'm like, I don't believe that part. And then she just shot and killed him.
Right.
And it's
That's
like,
a bit
okay,
much.
what orientation did you have him in to get away with it looking like a suicide, or
Yeah.
did you fake the report? I understood
Because
the
then
other
there should have
stuff.
been the coroner like going in and double checking that.
So,
shit,
like,
and it's
yes,
like,
there's things you can nitpick about this movie, but that really, for me, it's not so much a demerit where I'm like, it's a bad movie now. I just
No.
think with how tight some of the stuff was, there probably could have been a couple of script inventions that would have made it a little bit tighter than what it was at the end.
and that's I think that might be kind of more so, and that's like,
I mean, it was his first big
Yeah.
feature, you
Yeah,
know,
absolutely.
and Run
And
does.
that's- yeah,
Run, if you've seen that with Sarah Paulson, it does not have that problem.
No.
You can think of what you want about it, but it definitely doesn't lack coherence.
That's I remember Lacey and her sister were actually over at our house watching Run, and I was like, oh no, I'm gonna be doing something else. I'm not really gonna be.
You didn't
And I
watch it?
did- well, I was
Fucking
doing
square.
I was doing something else in the room, and then I just kept like
Right.
spacing out and watching it. And they're like, do you want to? And I'm like, no, I'm still doing my. And I'm just like watching it the whole time. So I did pretty much watch it. There were like little like 5-minute sections here or there where I like stepped out of the room to go grab something or whatever. But I just kept watching myself get sucked into this movie.
I do that to
And
Franny
he
all the
does-
time.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I do that. What was that one movie about the alligators?
There's so many. Crawl?
Crawl.
Crawl.
That happened hardcore with Crawl. I was like doing something else, and I was like, he's watching a
Tarantino's
dumb
favorite-
fucking alligator movie. I'm not gonna give a shit.
It's Tarantino's favorite movie of 2019. That includes Parasite, Jojo Rabbit. His favorite movie was Crawl.
Yeah, but no,
So-
you do that all the time to me. I'll
His
be
favorite
trying to.
body part is feet. So I'm not. not always taking what Tarantino has to say. Like,
or maybe Crawl's not that bad. Maybe Crawl's fun. Have you considered
so
that?
good.
I've not watched Crawl.
I think you'd like it.
Yeah,
it's not like high art, but it's like, dude, you see that at a drive-in with your friends. Maybe you have a brewski or two. It's a good time to watch this chick outsmart an alligator. I'm like, I could outsmart that alligator. No, you can't. Don't try to outsmart an alligator. Anyway, we're talking too much about this. Is there anything else you guys wanted to mention before we get into our game?
I so desperately wanted in the scene where they're going through and they're like searching the woods. You didn't get to be there to watch me literally pause the movie, rewind it multiple times.
Oh my god!
I thought
we're talking about the Cal Penn bullshit.
There was a dude who was in
watching
the background
movies with Zane and
the,
Lacey can be a little chaotic, but I love them. So
there was a person in the background of one of the scenes when they're like walking through the woods trying to find the daughter. His head shape looked exactly like Cal Penn.
He looked nothing like Cal Penn.
I'm like,
he looked
John Cho. I wanted to be Cal Penn.
I look more like Cal Penn.
Person?
Yeah, that's
okay.
That's
Harold and
Kumar. They're the two dudes, and it's like I just hope that it. Like, I would hope that this real dramatic thing, he did bring in his buddy as like an extra or something. I just wanted that so bad that I guess I just materialized it into my head when I finally was able to pause. I looked at the dude and I'm like, yeah, no, he doesn't look anything.
Yeah, he paused. We paused searching during
5
It's like an emotionally relevant time. It's like the first time they're going through the woods. Things are more intense. People are
ruined like the whole rhythm of the movie.
Yeah, you have to understand the movie is it's really at its like base. It's a movie about a father and his daughter that have recently she's lost her mother in the last few years, and it's like that's a big part of the drama within the film before certain events occur. So when the events do occur, you really feel it emotionally. Absolutely. It's very terrifying and scary for that character, and you desperately just want things to go well. And Zane's like, let me pause it 400,000 times.
Okay,
to see if Cal Penn's there.
I've already seen it. And I'm like,
and I told you he wasn't in the movie. You know who'd know? The guy who's seen it like 5,000 times. I would have noticed if Cal Penn was there. I would have clocked that immediately. Do you understand? I'm aware of his political career, let alone his acting. I'm a fan of Cal Penn, okay? Did you know that he is a gay man? Did you know that?
Yeah.
Isn't that great that he finally came out about that? That's not the point. Anyway, we love you, Cal Penn, and we love you politically as well. Very liberal. What up? Anyway, let's move on to the game, guys. I just want to get to the fucking game. This Cal Penn thing really bummed me out. We'll be right back. Hey, folks, and welcome to Pitch That Bitch. It's the game show where we, those who are talking about movies, pitch our own films kind of based around what we're talking about. So here we are, and I'm about to pitch that bitch.
Is that really?
Is that what we're going with?
Dead stop. That's the name we're going with?
Pitch that bitch.
I like it.
You don't think that's going to look great?
I have no strong feelings one way or the other. But yeah, no.
You don't like Pitch That Bitch?
No,
You know what, Mr. Smart Zane guy? How about you name the fucking game show then? Let's hear it. That's what I thought.
Like
it's time for me to pitch that bitch. Now, I love the idea of the social media horror film. And I feel like in some cases it's been done pretty well. There was a great Zoom call movie that came out on Shudder. I can't remember the name of it right now. I saw it for free through a friend. It was really good. But what I want to do is attach a social media horror setting to something that actually is horrific that's directly related to social media. And no, I'm not talking about a Reddit serial killer movie like everyone else pitches. What I want is to make a horror movie about swatting. Now, swatting is something that people do to celebrities.
That's a good one.
Where they call the authorities on them and are like, hey, there's a fucking baby being murdered in this house. And SWAT team comes up and they bust up your shit and potentially end your life because it's an incredibly tense situation and sudden movements. These people are trained to kill on sight. And police officers, no offense, they love to kill people. So anyway, sorry, too harsh, I know. Not all of them, I guess. Anyway. So the idea is that this popular streamer who is kind of dark and weird and everybody thinks he's like a liar and he's like so goth and weird and satanic, and they're like, this dude's a lame-o, let's swat him. Well, little do they know that this man is actually a demonic force. And the horror movie is from the perspective of these SWAT people entering this home and horrific things happening to them, all told through webcams and body cams.
Nice.
Swatting.
Huh. That's super interesting. I do really like that.
I like that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just pitched that bitch. All right,
You did
Zane,
pitch
it's your
that
go.
bitch.
Okay.
I'd fund it.
So
I'd fund it. Crowdfund now.
I would really like
Put it on Patreon, whatever.
I'd really like to see almost like a dark take on Night at the Museum where it's all done.
Wait. How is that at all related to what we're
Are
talking
you going to
about?
say security
No.
footage?
Yeah, security footage of it is a security guard going through the
Franny,
going through the museum.
Press the green button, please.
Oh, I didn't know that's what I was going to say. I like
Are you
that
kidding me?
security footage.
A Night at the
yeah,
Museum found footage film?
No, a Night at the Museum as the kind of basis for the general
so
storytelling.
things are coming alive.
So things are coming
Just a
alive.
homeless person
It is a
living in there?
horror movie. It is
Are you hearing this?
It is a museum horror movie told through the security cam footage, told through the audio
Like
log.
Toy Story?
Maybe that would work if it was really PG and was on the fucking Disney Channel.
I'm not
I don't know
talking
about
about
you,
fucking-
but if Lewis and Clark statues came alive and tried to stab me, I'd be like, this is as scary as this is. I think this is dumb, so I'm not going to participate. Go ahead and murder me, Lewis and Clark.
And it doesn't actually have
Lewis
to be
and or
the
Clark?
exhibits coming alive. I just like
Then
the
what the
idea of
fuck is it?
somebody being locked into the building.
Yeah.
And then they are trying to keep everything secure, make sure that all of the artifacts are taken care of.
So you want to
while
take
also-
Night at the Museum and Five Nights at Freddy's and make them one thing?
Okay,
Almost,
I dig
yeah.
that.
Well,
Okay, I
Willy's
didn't
Wonderland
realize-
sucked, so don't see this movie either.
But no, I just I loved the scene in this movie where he goes through, he sets up that security footage,
Yeah.
and you get those different kind of angles,
Yeah.
and it's all played out through
Yeah,
that.
it's a great scene,
and
for
I
sure.
think that that could lend itself very well to
But it's
what
all-
is
it's all
lurking
security
in
footage.
between. But that's what I'm saying. I'm saying you can have things that
But the part that made searching interesting was the fact that it wasn't just security footage.
no,
is
and
what
I'm not saying that it has to all be security footage.
Well,
I'm
what
saying
else
that
would you make it? That's the question I'm asking. What sell me on the fucking movie, man?
That's what
I'm any other producer than Harvey Weinstein. Okay, I'm not Ryan Kavanaugh either. I'm a nice producer. I don't know. Fuck it, whatever. I don't know any nice producers. There might be a reason for that. But
Lacey?
I'm producer Lacey.
Producer Lacey.
I'm producer. That's a different kind of producer. I'm talking about
Okay.
film producers. You know what? Fine. I'm Lacey, but I'm not. You know what? Whatever. It doesn't matter.
So you're Zane's
We're
wife?
all over the place.
doesn't-
My point is, Zane, sell me on your fucking movie other than it's got footage that are from security cams and fucking Pocahontas comes to life and stabs people. Give me more. I need
No,
more.
Just the idea of having somebody like you said, fucking Five Nights at Freddy's style, you're not able to leave and you have to protect these exhibits and go through and
Why
just
aren't you able to leave? What's impeding you from
You're
leaving?
locked in.
But that wouldn't really. If there's an elephant that came to life in the vicinity of you, you're not staying in that fucking building. You're gonna go through the sewer system.
What if-
you're gonna run through a fucking glass door, bitch?
What if you really
try to
care about your
convince me-
job?
If you try to convince me that you're so desperate to keep your job that you'll take a bitch slap from Teddy Roosevelt, I don't fucking believe it.
I mean-
Ben Stiller's a liar. And I guarantee you, if somebody was getting murdered in that museum on top of everything else, you would not be there. Owen Wilson or not.
but also play it off the entire time as is the security guard
Is he high?
I don't know so much that it
is
would
he hot?
be a full found footage thing because I like found footage, but at the same time I feel it can be extremely that's one of the complaints that I had about this movie was I felt that it was a good way to tell a story, but at other times it felt like, okay, yes, but you're just continuing.
I love
Hard
found
disagree.
footage. I don't even
Hard
care.
disagree. Here's the thing. I can show you 40 great found footage movies before I can find one version of your movie that's good. I'm
Harsh.
just telling you the truth. Because Night at the Museum exists, and no offense, the Jonas Brothers are real cute as those clay statues, but that movie's sort of caca. You know what
No,
I'm saying?
that movie's great.
No, it's not. It's bad.
I did not. I said Night at the Museum as a baseline for just kind of the idea of being in a museum while crazy shit is happening.
But you also, in the same sentence, just shit on found footage as a whole. And I'm telling you...
I did not shit on found footage as a whole. I said I have some issues with certain found footage things.
The searching found footage was incredible. Like, it was some of the best you could see.
It was bad. I just said that, like... There are points and times in some found footage stuff and other things where you kind of want...
I'm so confused. You didn't say it was bad. I thought you definitely said it was bad. Producer Lacey, give me a nod, yes or no, if he already said it was bad. I'm not sure.
I said searching. I gave searching a 7.5.
No. The found footage bit. You brought up this found footage thing. It doesn't matter.
I think...
Let's move on. This is crazy. Your movie is not going to be made. This producer's shutting that down. This metaphorical producer was not sold.
So... I have 2 half-baked ideas.
I love a half-baked idea.
Okay, so my first thought was Omegle. Use it somehow. But then I was like, that's pretty obvious.
For what? Like,
I don't know, like
just to see
like a chat roulette horror movie.
Yeah.
But what do you mean just as like a loose
exactly?
concept?
And then I was like, that's kind of stale.
Well, I mean, it couldn't. I mean, if you have something really cool to add, like. You know, a bad like internet related movies like that Smiley movie that Shane Dawson was in. I feel like, but there was a cool idea about like, you know, chat rooms. Like, what if you're flipping through a chat room and there's a scary motherfucker on the other side? So I'm not saying it's stale. I was just wondering if you had more to elaborate. I think it's a fine premise.
I think it could be. But then I was also thinking of...
I just think of that one short from VHS. Sorry.
Right. And I love VHS.
And that was great.
So a museum horror movie is dog shit, but Omegle the movie is...
Actually, let me go ahead out there and I'll say it. Okay. Things coming to life in a museum as a horror movie shot with found footage sounds fucking terrible.
But I have another idea too.
The production design would be bad. Imagine the costuming. Imagine fucking King Tut running by and he looks like he's walking around in tinfoil because you have no fucking budget. What are you going to get, the real Mona Lisa or some shit? You're going to get real works of art, real like actual displays for a museum for your shitty found footage movie? No way. It's going to look like bruh. Anyway, Franny, your next half-baked topic.
My next half-baked idea is something with Pokemon Go. Because you see, like, I just like the idea of, like, looking through a screen where, like, you're catching little Pokemon.
A kidnapping movie with Pokemon Go
and then there's, like,
really
a killer or something.
Good.
What's the app where it was, not Subnautica, that's a video game, the Randonautica.
Oh, yeah, Randonautica.
Like a Randonautica
horror
horror film. Yeah, I think that'd
be good.
That would have a lot of merit.
Yeah, that'd be really good.
You could have a scene, you know, in there somewhere where you incorporate IMVU, since we're going with like the worst social media interactions possible. An IMVU horror scene, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking, what's the worst idea that could possibly happen?
Probably like if you... Well, actually, this might be cool. Never mind. I think I almost pitched a better movie. I was like, what if you did like an MSN Messenger film? And I'm like, but wait, that's Cry Wolf, and that's not a bad movie.
That's a great movie.
It's really
I love
not that bad.
movie.
I've seen worse. I'll tell you that much. Like Zane's pitch, that's way worse than Cry Wolf.
I think the favoritism is showing up.
What do you mean?
One of us sleeping with him?
No way. I would. If Franny's ideas were like horrific, I would shit
no,
on
I
them.
think he doesn't want it because I'm sleeping with him.
She left them so basic. She left them so basic as a producer. I wouldn't buy hers either.
Exactly.
That's why I was asking her the question. She didn't answer. So far, the only movie I'm buying is mine, and I think that's nepotism or something. I'm not sure.
Is it nepotism?
No, maybe
narcissism.
Maybe
narcissism
or superfluousness, I believe, as well, because I'm like kissing my own ass.
Anyways.
Yeah, it's definitely.
It's a little bit of both, but it's also like I think people are gonna agree. Because at least
narcissism.
At least about the Zane bit. We'll see, Zane. We'll see. We'll see.
I don't know. I just really like the idea of like I have this image in my head of like the Pokemon Go one where like you're looking through your phone screen and it's like you're trying to catch Pokemon and then like you just see like a fucking like killer or a kidnapper or something like in the background.
That's kind of fun.
With like a like.
So, but is this found footage? Does the killer run across the fucking Pokemon Go screen?
That's gonna be so expensive. To have the camera set up in portrait to look like a Pokemon Go screen.
Charizard on your fucking phone.
It sounds like you want to direct an episode of Marble Hornets, not that you want to make a movie.
I don't know what that is.
It's a YouTube series about Slender Man. They do shit like that. It's pretty goofy. I love them though. It's fine. All right, I think we wore out this game. I really do.
Maybe somebody like hold on. Maybe somebody like vlogging about doing Pokemon Go.
Why do you want Pokemon Go to
Why
be
do you
involved so
like
bad?
Pokemon Go?
I just like the idea of like a killer running across the screen with a little Pokemon.
Another found footage movie idea I had during like the riots. Remember?
Oh, hold on. And then for the artwork for the movie,
Yeah.
you could have like you're trying to catch the killer with the little Pokeball.
Oh god. Gotta catch them all. He's gotta catch them all. No, it's him holding the phone. It's the killer holding the phone, and he's flicking Pokeballs at all of his victims.
And all the
right?
children, then he's
Yeah, because he's capturing them.
I didn't realize this was fucking child murder.
I think that'll make it more intriguing. And what else? What other kind of tie? What the killer catches adult weirdos who go out and play Pokemon Go.
There's
still?
plenty
I
of
don't know that
them.
many children that are going out and playing Pokemon Go.
mainly
Yeah,
adult
I feel like that's a
weirdos.
nostalgia
I
thing,
know,
though.
but adult weirdos, it's not something you're going to relate to. It's like, well, you are the one who's out at 3 a.m. playing Pokemon Go. You make it a kid, it's all of a sudden it's an episode of Stranger Things you can get behind like 30 years post, you know? Like it has a vibe to it if it's a child. If it's a full-grown adult, you're like, well, that's what you get for trying to catch a Gyarados at 4 a.m.
Fucking nerd.
Anyway, guys, if you liked this content, please subscribe, leave comments below. Please tell me how wrong I am about Zane and how mean I am to him. Or tell me how right I am that we're definitely done with the museum films and like I don't need any more museum films that bring things to life. You can share us, let everybody know what's going on. Also, if you just want to listen to the audio, there should be a podcast version of everything. We can link that in the description. So thanks, guys. Thank you, Zane, for being here. Franny, thank you so much for your
You're welcome.
for your pitch. I think your pitch was the second and third best. I'm kidding. Love you guys.
I gave mine way
Bye-bye.
less thought.
See you later. Sayonara.